What's up, guys? My name is MadSquash924. Welcome back to another episode of Night's Call, Part 13, where today we are the taxi driver of taxi drivers, where we have to go find ourselves who this murderer is. But here we are on night 2, not suspecting to find the murderer as of yet, but we do have a suspect that we can go and pick up for our drive, which is nice. It's good. We can get some information about them. Hopefully find out more about them. Maybe she's the killer. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just being used in this whole plot. And, yeah, you guys should, close the blinds, turn up your earbuds, and listen to, the story of Apolloni Garadu. The woman getting into the cab is a regular, and a suspect. Though you haven't seen her for a while. She always makes you feel uncomfortable. She claims to be... Sherry, I'm thirsty. A vampire. Where to? So thirsty. I have no idea what's going on tonight. I'm absolutely parched. And I'm sick of going to the Belvedere again and again. What a bore. Of course, I love the place. The decor reminds me of the old plantation. But it's become so routine. And when a routine sets in, you're a goner. You give her a quick look. No, Sherry, not literally. Don't look at me that way. The thing is, I'm looking for something fresh, full of life. With a good strong heart. Nice and strong. A little gay guy who works in advertising, a vegan addicted to MDMA. Do you know where I can find one? A chill runs down your spine. What if you couldn't find the right kind of bar? The only thing you can think of is Carter, a nightclub in St. Win you've known about for years. Maybe not what she's looking for, but definitely a young crowd and lots of atmosphere. I know a place just north of Paris called Carter. Just north of Paris? I don't mind the suburbs. Why not? It might be interesting. I never go to that part of town, ever. Not my usual stomping grounds. My kinfolk in the area are extremely aggressive. But why not? Carter it is. You start the cab. The scenery starts to unfold. The passenger seems to have lost interest in you. It's the second or third time you picked her up. She told you about her life story every time. Could she really be a vampire? You'd rather not ask. You hear a slight cough. How long have we known each other now? A few months, I guess. I take more cabs in the summer, that's for sure. I have to stay more on my toes. A knowing wink. Are you a driver? Suddenly her head seems to be elsewhere. And what happened to him? She smiles. Something awful. Retirement. A burst of laughter. There was a particular quality to her voice, as if someone else in the car were laughing alongside her. Anyhow, I can't afford a driver anymore. Human life is so pricey these days, Sherry. Back when my mother was a slave, she was worth nothing, or near about so. Today, everyone is worth something. We are all equal. She waves a hand before her face, then utters something in icy tones. Monty. A few moments go by. The passenger watches you in silence, then diverts her gaze, as if you were an animal. Does it bother you, having me as a passenger? No. Well, why do you ask? Because of who I am. And who are you? She smiles. You know very you know very well who I am, Shetty. She waves a hand. I won't bother you anymore with that. You already refused my offer twice, and I won't insist. It takes more courage than you think. A faraway look comes over her. Though nowadays people live our lives are far too comfortable to make any radical changes. The imagination of a Parisian begins and ends with starting over in the country, among the wildlife and the livestock. There is a hint of sadness in her voice. What a pity. We could have had such a good time together, Shetty. There's no more talk until you pull up to Carter. You can immediately tell your passenger is disappointed. She hands you the fare and heaves a sigh. A provincial club just outside of Paris, if only I had known. She waves a hand, as if to silence you. But that's not your fault, Shetty. I know you try your best. Such is the way of the world. She sighs. A world that's changing all too quickly. Will soon be old hat, left on the sidelines. She shrugs with a glance at her polished nails, gives you a smile, then pays for the ride. But I won't let it get me down. Wish them luck. With a wink, she walks over to the nondescript club. It looks pretty seedy. Shady characters are loitering in the parking lot. Your customer's unusual appearance gets a laugh from some of the youths. She doesn't let it deter her, though. She steps resolutely through the door of Carter. Okay, got some cash. We don't know much about her other than she says she's a vampire, which is freaking weird, but whatever. Oh, we've met Xavier before. We don't need to talk to him. Is there any more suspects loitering about? Does not appear to be the case. We should go pick up somebody new that we haven't seen before. Probably one of these two. This one's closer. His name is Dennis Petitjean. Your passenger climbs into the cab and slams the door, shut behind him. Good evening. Plain St. Denis, please. He stops short, visibly sizing you up. Do you know where it is? You nod yes. Avenue des Magasins, Genevac. So, you know the street? Yeah, sure. He looks at you intently. You know all the streets of Paris? His question drips with disbelief. You know his kind well. The sort who you refer to as the Arab. And not bat an eyelid. Yes, I do, monsieur. He seems hesitant. Well then, let's go. You start the cab. The client stares out the window as if hypnotized. You watch him in the rearview mirror. His face. Familiar to you, his accent too, though you never be able to place it. Typical some rural region, central France perhaps? You take another look. That's it, you've got it. He was a contestant on one of those reality shows where farmers meet women. Seen him on the show a few weeks before. You watched him from your hospital bed with a distracted eye. But something about it had bothered you. The show was a masquerade. Life in the country seemed from a very artesian and cynical perspective. Full of scorn and contempt. Okay then, you figured out who I am. His remark and his accent brings you back to the present. Sorry? You recognize me, right? So you can make fun of me now. Make fun of you? He shrugs. Yeah. Like all those other people who do out there. On that there Tweety thing. Tweety? It takes you a second to realize he's talking about social media. Make fun of you? Yeah, well, go on and have a laugh. It's free, right? Why shouldn't you? Have a good laugh at my expense. That's all I'm good for, right? His eye meets yours, his voice faltering. He sighs heavily, then shakes his shoulders. He goes on staring at you for a while, and then seems to have calmed down. Sorry. He shakes his head, obviously moved. The shell is starting to crack. It's a living hell. Imagine what I'm going through. It's a nightmare. 3 months ago, I was a contestant on that stupid show, Fields of Love. Well, I said yes because my wife's been dead for 25 years. I've been all alone ever since, just me and cows and udders. He stops and shrugs. The show was aired like a month ago. At first things were fine, friends called, we had a good laugh and all. And then I find out the internet is laughing at me too. There are those things, I can't remember what they're called. Moms, mams, mims? Yeah, you know, those pictures that get moved all by themselves on the damn internet. I have no idea what he's talking about. So I made myself a Tweety account to go and see what they're saying about me. Calling me a virgin and a Nazi, that I screw my cows too. He looks away, as if someone else has spoken the words. I practically die laughing. A farmer who doesn't want to finish the sentence. So, yesterday I said I had it. I called my cousin to keep an eye on my farm, and I left for Paris. I'm on my way now to see those TV jokers right now. 6 months ago, they said if there was any problem whatsoever, they take care of it. Well, there is a problem. His anger has subsided somewhat. His face is returning to its normal color. What's your plan? Hell yes, I have a plan. I'm going to show up at their office, raise a cane until they listen to me. He gives an energetic nod of the head. And believe me, they're going to listen. I may be just a plain old farmer, but nobody's going to disrespect me. He squares his shoulders as if to fend off the attacks. Forget it. His eyes half closed, he practically growls the words. There was a palpable air of sadness about him. At first I told him I didn't want to be on their stupid old show. It wasn't for me. But they insisted. They showed me pictures of the women. He lowers his eyes. And then, well, I said yes. Should never have said yes. You pull up to the address he gave you. The studio gates are still closed. You park the cab and cut the engine. Is it closed? You nod yes. It, doesn't open until 6. You point to a sign posted near the gates. He sighs. But there'll be hardly anyone here before 9 or 10 o'clock. I don't care. I'll wait. He rummages through his pockets and pulls out a wallet. What are you going to ask them? I want them to apologize on TV, during the show, in front of everyone. Talk about all the things they changed, all the bits of sentences they cut up and put back together. He Fixes his gaze on you, his eyes narrow. You know, I'm not racist. His voice is low and raspy. Don't believe the show. I mean, I didn't mean what I said. And I didn't really say that stuff either. Yeah, they always do that. He nods. Yeah, well, them media, they distort everything. They change things. Things are more, you know, more... He's searching for the right word. It's no use. His hands are shaking. Oh well. He fixes his gaze on you, visibly moved. I'm not very good at this. I've been, He chokes up, gesturing with a hand as if to make it all disappear. When he starts up again, he's on the verge of tears. Anyhow, I'll just, wait here until it opens. The passenger pays the fare and exits the cab. You watch him for a minute as he starts his vigil in front of the gates. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind, or the one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. Then you start the cab. It's back to the grind. Wow, that's pretty nice. Got some good money out of that one. That's like one of the best ones we've had. Let's see, do we have any more customers that are suspects? Yes, we do. We have one right before us. I gotta think of a voice for this guy. His name is Jonas Pearson. He needs a drive to Izzy. The passenger getting in your cab barely says hello. He mumbles an address and buries his head in his laptop. He taps away, not saying a word, as you start driving. You have seen passengers like him before. Introverts. Silent types. People so absorbed in what they are doing, they don't even notice you. The road flies by. The sound of the passenger's fingers on the keyboard reminds you of the sound of rain hitting the hood of your car. You keep an eye on him. His fingers are flying. You get the impression he's not typing full sentences. The rhythm is too short, halting. Are you a programmer? He lifts his head at you and looks at you with interest. In a manner of speaking. How did you know? From the way you were typing. He pauses and flashes a tiny smile. Very perceptive of you. He stares back at his computer and types a few lines on the keyboard. He lifts his head all of a sudden. What do you think of the world? He holds his hand up. Sorry, that question came out of nowhere. How do you perceive the world? Did someone create it? A god? Many gods? An alien being? You remain silent for a moment. Well, I used to believe, but not anymore. In God? Yahweh, Allah. Allah. The passenger nods. But not anymore? Nope, no more. I understand. Things have been rough for believers lately. I stopped believing long before. He smiles. You hesitate, then say, I'm just not interested. He smiles at you. I get it. I feel the same way. Personally, I believe that all of this indicates the world around him. is of absolutely no importance. The world doesn't exist. The earth, the moon, the sun, how you felt when you got out of bed this morning, none of that exists. He pauses dramatically, no way to know whether or not it was on purpose. He clicks his tongue and stares at you. You feel uncomfortable. All of this is a simulation. I sincerely believe that. A computer simulation? He flashes a crooked smile. Exactly. We're more of a scientific experiment, a cryptocurrency mining operation. Or maybe even an accident. No more, no less. He pauses and looks at you. How does it feel to learn that the world doesn't exist? That our God is nothing more than a computer program? It's interesting. It's pretty interesting. He raises his voice slightly and seems excited. Right, it's a theory. He smirks. And we'll probably never really know well, that's why I'm working on this project. He glances at his computer. I'm trying to figure out whether or not we really are in a simulation. We live, we eat, we sleep, we love. But if we deliberately try to put an end to the simulation, we might disappear. He stares intently at you. We are... He snaps his fingers. We are no longer. He seems to love that part of his speech. He's relishing in it. How can I prove it? Well, first I have to find a flaw in the system. A flaw? Yes, if we are a simulation, we were programmed. And the ones who programmed us either made mistakes or tried to save money. So we just have to find the float value, the weak spot, so we can break it. We've got to crash the simulation and die in order to understand our own reality. It's a terrible fate, isn't it? Die to exist. Die to become real. Die to make our existence materialize. He pauses, smiles, stares. Does it feel to learn all that? Are you angry? Are you disappointed? Sad? Defeated? Ready to commit suicide? I go through all those phases every day. He sighs. I tell myself the world isn't ready. And yet it's our future to discover reality. He chuckles. You park your taxi in front of the address he gave you. He looks deeply into your eyes. So, how do you feel? I don't know. Excellent answer. A scientist's cardinal rule: always doubts, always question, and always verify. One day, if an atheist states that Allah doesn't exist, that he knows just because there's no scientific proof of his existence, you will know that he does not have a true scientific mind. He looks up at his building. I'm talking, and it didn't even notice we'd arrived. I thank you kindly for this talk. It's always interesting to bounce ideas off one another, to put them to the test. After all, we're waiting to wage war with the person or entity that made us. He pays his fare and gets out. He disappears quickly into his building, his laptop under one arm. That was pretty interesting. Let's see. Do we have anybody else that we can talk to that is a customer relative to who we need to speak to? Not that I see at the moment. Can't tell who that is. I don't think we met this one before. Because if we haven't, we're going to go see them. I don't think we met this person. Annabelle Robert. Charles de Gaulle Airport, please. Okay. Your passenger slips into the back seat, dragging a backpack that apparently weighs a ton. Do you want to put that in the trunk? She refuses politely, with a shake of the head. Thanks, but I'm going to have to get used to keeping it with me. It's going to be on my back for an entire month. You smile and start the cab. A glance in the rearview mirror. Your passenger is rather young, and the camera around her neck looks very expensive. Her backpack, scarf, and clothes are fairly worn. Going hiking? No, not really. She seems a little embarrassed by your question. I'm on my way to Greece to join an NGO rescue vessel. That helps migrants to make the crossing. And I'm going to do a story on them. Oh, are you a journalist? She smiles, the first since you set off. Yes, photojournalist. They make the crossing even in winter? They make the crossing whenever they get a chance, regardless of the time of year or the weather. The EU has just closed the surveillance and rescue program. Only non-governmental associations are doing anything to help now. So I'm on my way. I volunteered. I even made a fuss to get the assignment. Her tone of voice is increasingly shrill. I read first-hand accounts. I talked to journalists who have worked on the subject. I can't just ignore the whole thing. She gives a short laugh. I even played a video game about refugees. Beautifully done, really powerful. I knew I couldn't just sit back and watch. This was my chance to show the world what's going on there. Your passenger's phone starts to ring. Oh, sorry, She glances at the caller's name. Her face freezes. She sighs, a troubled smile flickering across her face, then takes the call. Hi, Dad. Yeah, I'm in the cab. Right. Yeah, I told you. I tried, but he wouldn't change his mind. Come on, Dad. I already told you I'll be fine. They wouldn't be sending me if there were... She moves the phone a bit farther from her ear. Come on, Dad, stop. Dad? Listen, everything's going to be fine. I'll be there for 20 days with a group of professionals who have been doing this for years. That's right. That's a group of rescue professionals. Would you just stop? She sighs heavily. It's no use. She's been down this road 1,000 times. We're about to get to a tunnel, mademoiselle. You're going to cut out. The young woman looks up at you in surprise, then in her face lights up. Did you hear that? I have to go. I'll call you back as soon as I'm... She's interrupted again. That's right, I'll call back. She hangs up, wide-eyed, and breathes a long sigh. My parents, they can be, a little much at times. She smiles. Anyhow, thanks for jumping in there. You can sense the tension, the wave of frustration, and anxiety welling up inside of her. Her unhappiness and anxiety are palpable. She closes her eyes, collecting her thoughts, trying to dispel her negative emotions. If only I had a little time. Is there anything I can do to help? No, thank you. I'll be fine. You already got me out of that never-ending conversation. I was just thinking that I'd like to be able to do a little yoga. It really helps me relax. It's an amazing way to unwind, to calm down and release tension. There must be a yoga room somewhere in the airport. I could pull over if you'd like. She looks at you closely, not sure what to think. What do you mean? There's a gas station up ahead, a rest area for truck drivers. There won't be anyone there right now. Alright, sure, why not? There's no more talk for a few minutes. Your passenger glances out the window every now and then. You drive past the gas station, the main building, the trucks, and get to a small quiet rest area. A clearing, lit up by your headlights, and the moon suddenly appears. There is no one around. The air is cool. The young woman leans in towards you. Is this the place? You nod. It's incredibly calm, as if we were in the middle of the woods. Her eyes take in every detail, every tree and bush. Do you come here often? Whenever I can. She nods. She understands. It's so quiet. Even the middle of winter looks so peaceful. She reaches for the door handle. You won't leave without me, will you? Of course not. She gets out of the cab and puts her things on a picnic table. The wind is chilly. She shivers. She gives you one last look, then closes her eyes. For a minute or two, you watch her doing yoga exercises. Her eyes remain closed. Her face gradually starts to relax. A truck behind you pulls out of the rest area. This place has a calming effect on you too. Some summer nights you come here to take a nap. The young woman is stretching now. The headlight casts soft shadows among the dark foliage. In the winter, you smoke a cigarette or two, waiting for potential clients to land. The young woman gets back in the cab. She says nothing. There's no need. You sense she's recovered her calm and is ready to face the rest of her journey. You drive away, leaving behind the clearing, the rest area, the gas station. The young woman is sleeping. The road keeps passing by, and before long you're approaching the airport. A moment later, you turn down the radio. The song fades. I'll pull up over here. It'll be easy for you to get out of the cab. You get to the airport drop-off zone. A couple of colleagues greet you with a wave. A few bleak-looking passengers are struggling with huge suitcases and car trunks. A security guard is sitting on a luggage cart, smokes a cigarette, clearly exhausted. Your passenger pays the fare, collects her things, but doesn't leave the cab. Thank you for getting me out of that horrible phone call. I love my parents, but they are suffocating. It could have gone on for hours. So, thank you. I have to go now. I have the feeling my parents are going to call again. Might as well go in where it's warm, and I'm not disturbance. Take good care of yourself. I will. Promise. She gets out of the cab with all her gear. Your eye follows her as she heads to the terminal. The airport door closes behind her. You sit there a minute or two, all by yourself. There's no one around. May as well head out as soon as possible. Nice. Big tip, too. And I think with that, this is a good spot for us to end today's episode. Is that Busset? No, it's not Busset. It looks very similar to Busset. That sucks. We should talk to them, but we can't. Because we don't have enough time. Hope you guys all enjoyed today's episode of Night's Call. If you guys have, make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what you think of today's episode, of course. And if you're new to my channel or have been watching me for a little while and you haven't done so, feel free to subscribe to me, MadSquash924, and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified of my latest videos. On the next episode, looks like we have time for 1, maybe 2 customers, depending if time allows. Hopefully a suspect will show up because these always change every time we load into the game. So maybe she'll still be there, maybe she won't. We shall see. But I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.